Computer. Good morning. We are so excited to have you here for our Mental Toughness Monday and our um, emotional, essential emotions, whatever. It's this book or app. If you have the app, it's fantastic. This is where we're getting the information. Even if you don't have the book or the app, you're welcome to join along with us or run through the last few because we've done one every morning for the last I don't know, 6 or 7 times. So today is Arise. I don't know if you can see that. That's not in focus at all. All right, Arise. But this is from the yoga collection. So if you have purchased the yoga collection or it was gifted to you, then you're in luck. And go ahead and pull it out if you have it and take a nice smell of it. Put a little couple of drops in your hands, rub together, breathe it in. Mmm, this is good. Now let's read about it. All right. Maybe. Arise invites individuals to rise up and meet their life. This blend teaches that most individuals are living well beneath their potential. It invites them to choose in this moment to reclaim the fullness they were always meant to experience. This blend expands the soul and helps it to realize it's capable of more than it ever thought possible. Arise can powerfully lift despondent or burdened individuals and fill them with enthusiasm, joy, and optimism. It raises the vibration of an individual into states of light, creation, and manifestation, which allows stagnant energy to dissolve naturally. Arise can powerfully lift despondent or burdened individuals and fill them with enthusiasm, joy, and optimism. It raises the vibration of an individual into states of light, creation, and manifestation, which allows stagnant energy. Oh, wait, I read that already. To dissolve naturally. Apparently, we needed that twice. So there you go. Arise reawakens intuition and insight. It encourages the full acceptance of all parts of the soul, mind, body, and spirit, so that in wholeness and unity they may ascend together. Arise catalyzes the sparks of divinity within everyone that long to reconnect to the divine and arise to their full potential. So you can inhale it from the bottle. You can diffuse it. You can place drops in your hand, rub it, inhale. You can put on your forehead, on the crown of your head, on your upper chakras, which is the back of your neck, and it addresses negative emotions of burdened, joyless, pessimistic, fragmented, or shattered, spiritually disconnected, and it brings in the positive properties of integrated, intuitive, lifted, uplifted, joy, enthusiastic, optimistic, and actualized. So
Mm,
there you go.
love it.
What are some of your thoughts about this one?
Well, is it just me or is that something I really needed today?
Definitely something I needed today too. Monday morning, right? Here we are. Yep. I think it's not just
Intuitive. Yeah, love that. Joy, optimistic.
right. So much good stuff, and that's going to bless you in all of your life. So I hope that if you don't have it, you can get it. But I by now, if you're going along with us in the Essential Emotions book, by now I'm sure you can see that every oil has some kind of a blessing that it's going to give to you. And so even if you don't have all the ones that we're reading about, maybe there's a couple that you want to put on your wish list because you're hearing about them now. But even if you don't have one that we're reading about yet, you can use something that you do have because it's going to lift and bless you. And if you want to know what the oil is that you already have, there's an app. You can download it for free, but I'm not sure how much you can see for free. on the inside. I think you can see everything that's there, but I'm not sure how much you can actually read. I think you get like limited stuff. But anyway, it's called Essential Emotions Plus, and there's a lot of great information there. And if not, then reach out to one of us and ask us to send you or read to you if you want to know what your oil does. Okay. Any other thoughts about Arise, or shall we move on to Champions Believe in Global Citizenship?
Arise is not in the app.
Really?
Yeah.
I looked it up this morning.
Hmm.
Now, there are two
Yeah.
versions of the app. There's the old one and the new one.
Ah.
It is in the new one. It's the
Oh, it
Arise
says
Lightning.
download our new app. There you
There you
go.
go.
Thank you.
There you go. Not in the old one. That's interesting, because I thought it would have been. Okay, let's read about champions and global citizenship and see what we think about this. The world class believes in the philosophy of one collective global economy. This is evident by their participation in such groups as Rotary International and others that focus on assisting people globally.
Circle there. Utah's economic
Can you
success is
turn
due to
off
strong
your
family.
sound, Tim? Thank you. Um, True champions know what happens in Bombay affects what happens in Chicago, and what happens in Sydney affects what happens in Tokyo. Average people hardly know their own neighbors. The middle class seldom looks beyond their own hometowns and tends to have an isolationist philosophy. They're not any less caring than their world class counterparts. They're simply unaware of the impact countries and people have on each other. With their expanded global worldview, professional performers create ideas that usually have no geographical boundaries. The World Wide Web has expanded this awareness even more, yet the middle class fails to fully embrace this philosophy as a whole. Until more people raise their level of awareness, the great ones will have to foot the bill for everyone. The end of mediocrity as we know it doesn't seem to be anywhere in sight. Well, that's depressing.
Yeah.
All right. The Czech Republic president said with Václav Havel said, without global revolution in the sphere of human consciousness, a more humane society will not emerge. Okay, let's talk about this because I had an awesome experience this weekend. I went to the Experience doTERRA event again because I've decided that that is like my monthly activity. And I highly, highly recommend it. But I was listening to Andy Goddard talking about the life that they have been able to create because of the friendships and because of the relationships that they've built all over the world. They said, we have friends on every continent. We could go to almost any city in Australia and have people that we know well enough that they would open their home to us. And it really just got me thinking about how, how connected our world is and how important all of us are to each other without even really knowing that. And I love what he says here, what happens in Chicago, what happens in Bombay affects what happens in Chicago, what happens in Sydney affects what happens in Tokyo. And it's not just those cities, obviously, but we are all affected by what happens globally. One of the things that I have had the opportunity of doing a few years ago, I worked as a mentor for BYU Pathways, and several of my students, I was working with the African market, and several of my students at the time, it was during the 2020 election time period. And at the time, the students were very concerned about the outcome of that election, and because they said it would affect their countries as well. And we're seeing the lives of people being affected already. And that was another thing that was so amazing about the Experience doTERRA event was that Kirk Jowers, yes, Kirk Jowers, our CEO, came and spoke to us in person in the auditorium at the event. there were probably maybe 30 people there, and he came and spoke to us for almost an hour. But one of the things that he said is whether or not politically there's reasons to be excited and there's reasons to be concerned as far as the new administration is concerned. But the reality is we are with this administration, and from a purely corporate standpoint, it's going to be a good thing for doTERRA. So we can be excited about that. He talked a little bit about the softening of some of the very heavy hitting um, agencies, the FDA and others who are very concerned about what we say. And so we don't want to stop being compliant. We want to continue to be compliant, but we can breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief because we're not going to have as much over or policing regarding that, I guess. So that's something that is a good thing. And he also commented about the because of this administration and also the fact that Justin Trudeau had stepped down in Canada, these were also going to be good things for business, for corporations in general. And that is a good thing for us because our mission with doTERRA is to get these oils into the hands of as many people as we possibly can and get them on them and get them in them so that they can start to feel better and create more world peace in their own home, right? How many of us want world peace? How many of us would really
Yeah.
like world peace in our own home?
Right.
How many of us want world peace just in our own minds, right? We need this so much. And so anyway, okay. Any thoughts? What are your thoughts on global citizenship?
I think that's fascinating that Kirk Jowers addressed that just a little bit because watching the news, I'm becoming a little alarmed.
Yeah, there's lots of reasons for alarm, and there's also a lot of concerns about. I mean, it's hard to know who to trust when you are watching the news because there's still a heavy climate um, of disdain for Donald Trump, and it does look like he is moving very quickly on some things. And I think if he is actually going to keep his promise to drain the swamp, he would have to move very quickly. He was not aware when he got in 2016 how deep the swamp went, and I don't know how much you have read about his first administration. There was a lot, and I don't. You probably remember that he was constantly firing people, and it was because so many of those people were absolutely opposed to his agenda, and his agenda, just so we're from what he's saying, his agenda is to keep America free and to so on the one hand global citizenship, right, recognizing how we all affect one another, and on the other hand recognizing that in the United States we have an inspired constitution that has stood the test of time for over 200 years. We are the most free country in the world even still, and this is a problem for anyone who would like to create an actual global government. We really the vision of the founders was that our governing would be self-governed, and that the majority of our governing would be handled at the local level where people actually understand the issues and live with the consequences of those decisions. And so this is a really important piece. And if we move to a situation where we have a global governance when we haven't even really figured out very well how to have an in-check federal government, and that's really what Donald Trump is trying to do, is to check the federal government so that the local governments can make more of those decisions, because there's so much regulation that has occurred in our government that we have a lot of laws that have not been enacted by Congress, and that is against our Constitution. No one can create a law except Congress. It's the legislative body is the only place where it is legal for laws to be created. And yet we have all of these other agencies and directives and policies that are enforced as if they were law. And this is creating a bondage for our people. so this is what we're, needing. It needs to be corrected. And so, continue to pray for our country, and hope that we can create a greater level of freedom. I think with this also, it's important to recognize that with freedom comes a lot of responsibility. And I do think that as a culture, we've moved away from wanting to be responsible for our own freedoms. And this is also a part of the problem, and why and how these bureaucratic agencies are getting so much power is because they have more experience than our elected officials. And they'll come in to help, and they'll help draft legislation. But this is done by lobbyists who work for companies, right? They're not elected officials, and our elected officials are looking at them, and they're not, if they aren't hearing from us regularly. And why would we even know if they're writing a 1,500-page bill? They know we're not going to have time to read that, right? Even the declassification of the JFK files, they said there's 5 million pages. Like, we're going to have to get AI to read that and summarize it for us and hope it does a good job, right? Because that's going to take a long time to get all of that information ingested and put into the next bestseller, right?
Wow.
So there are lots of pieces to this. So anyway, sorry, I'm off on a risen rampage this morning, apparently, right? So I would love to hear your thoughts. I'll zip my lips for a minute.
The
Go ahead,
question I,
Linda.
the question I have is, will tariffs be put on these oils as they're coming into the United States?
I don't think so. And Kirk didn't address this, but our oils come in as raw materials, and so I think that they
So
won't be.
they can't tariff that.
Yeah, because we have our manufacturing facility here and our fulfillment center here in the States. And then we have many warehouses where we ship from here to other places. But I don't believe that's going to affect us. But I don't know that for sure, because I don't know all the details of how those things work. But that's what I think. So I
Does
think we can.
anybody know the details? I don't think so.
Well, people, right. Some people in the government understand those,
Right.
who's going to be affected by that. The other thing about tariffs, I believe, I don't know how. I mean, I know he's saying we're going to fund the country and income taxes be gone. That'd be really nice, right? But I don't know how much he's actually going to use tariffs in that way. I think he's using them as leverage right now. I don't know if you saw how quickly Colombia decided to go ahead and receive back their illegals, many of whom are gang members and others, when he told them 25% this week and 50% next week. If they didn't, it was like 7 minutes. They made a decision to go ahead and receive the two airplanes full of people who need to be repatriated back to Colombia. So I do think it's effective. We know he's a good negotiator, right?
That's great. Yeah.
And I loved Kirk Jowers when he was talking. He said he pointed out that a lot of the, like, with doTERRA, and help me if I'm saying this wrong, but it sounded like things turned down a bit for doTERRA when all of those we had to stop really saying what the oils could do,
Yes.
bluntly, and had to start beating around the bush. And so I feel like it sounds like what he's saying is that because of, not even just Trump, but because of these other people that are starting to voice natural solutions, that
Yes.
that's going to turn around. So I was ecstatic to hear that.
Yes, he
So
really was
wonderful.
encouraging all of us to move forward with confidence.
Yes.
And that was exciting to hear from
Yeah.
our CEO as well. The other thing that he said, and I don't know how soon this will happen, but he said simply by repackaging the VMG, they're going to be able to take the price down
Yes.
on that
Oh,
Yes.
by nearly $1 per serving by
wow.
just
Serving.
repackaging.
Yes.
So and they
Yes.
also are considering a bulk packaging for that. So I don't
Yes.
know if or when they will be announcing that, but I want you to know that that is something that he talked about. They are aware of the concerns that we
Oh,
have.
glorious.
Lovely.
Well, that's great.
Yes. Yes. So, um, any other thoughts on global citizenship?
I'd love to add something.
Go ahead, Camille.
I didn't get a chance to go this weekend, but I've been thinking about a lot of things, and I get to teach Relief Society in a few weeks, and so I've been thinking about the talk as well. And it's the talk that the lesson is on is called God's Favorite, and I can't remember the speaker, Kieran, maybe he's British. Anyway, um, but I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about just what Natalie and Andy have created, and like you were saying, like they have this whole global friendship um, all around the world. And um, anyway, I just was thinking about like what an incredible thing that is to be able to have that much love. Like for me, that's what this business is about sharing the love of a product that feels so whole and so healing. And anyway, it's been a hard month for me, especially this month for lots of reasons. But I I was thinking about that especially, and just thinking, you know what? How can I expand my love circle? I guess, and and who could I love more, and continue to share the things that are so dear to me.
Yes.
So anyway, that was kind of on my mind as you were talking about that globalness, and thinking about, and you feel that when you go to these events and you see these leaders. And that's one of the things that has drawn me to doTERRA anyway, is that the people have so much love in their hearts, and they're so willing to give and share. And anyway, so that was something that struck me as you were talking about this morning, and stuff I've
I
been
love
thinking about, I
that. And I
guess.
love that focus also being on like who can I share with? How can I share these oils that I love with people that I love? And who are the people that, that I'm surrounded by that maybe even aren't my best friends, but I can see that they have a need. And I feel that like that feeling in my heart of like, I know I can help them with this. And I love that. I think that's exactly what we're talking about because rather than, Tokyo and Chicago or whatever. It's like my house and somebody's house on the other side of the city. Like we can make such a huge difference. Or it's me and my, two of my kids that live in different places or whatever, right? I mean, what can we do? And asking those questions, I just think is so powerful because and also coming from that place of love. Coming from that place of love, one of the things that Amy Fulmer talked about when they do this part where they resolve concerns and the concern always comes up that I feel I'm going to feel dumb talking to my neighbors, or I'm going to feel dumb telling somebody that I'm in a multi-level marketing company. And she said, we can definitely appreciate that feeling, but you have to consider like, who are you thinking about when you're thinking about how you're going to feel in this? Are you thinking about how you can support them, how you can help them? Are you thinking about how much the oils have changed your life and your children and your family's life and how you want to offer and share that with them too? No, if you're thinking about how dumb you're going to feel, all you're thinking about is you. And Danny, forgot Danny's last name. um, she's your friend, Mom. She's your friend from the booth that you guys taught. What's her last name? Do you remember? Danny.
I want to say Smith, but is that too common of a
I
guess?
can't remember. But anyway, she talked about a guy who had joined her team a year ago, and she had just met with him on Friday again. They had met at doTERRA, and she'd had a conversation with him, and he said, you know what? I have been so concerned about like what guys like my Uncle Billy are going to think of me. And here I am a year later, having been paralyzed by this fear. And yet I had this realization today. It's not Uncle Billy that's paying my bills. right? It's me. And this is my responsibility and this is my opportunity. And I need to take that regardless of what Uncle Billy thinks. He's not paying the bills. And so I love that thought too of just like, where is your focus? And also who's paying your bills, right? Don't let, if that's a concern for you, don't let that be a concern for you. Do switch your perspective so that you recognize that you have the cookie. You've got something so amazing that you want to give to someone else. And when you offer and share it to them, I mean, it's like the waitress going around with the coffee pot, right? She's not crying if you say you don't want coffee. It's okay. Just offer the coffee. If they say yes, pour them some coffee. If they say no, move on. Don't cry,
Yeah.
right? Let's just move on.
Something
So,
that I came to realize too is that we're sharing truth. Of course, there's going to be resistance with that, and there always is going to be
yeah.
resistance with that.
Yeah.
So, expect, and like you're saying, let's not take offense when people don't want it. It's just something they're not ready for or open to yet, and that's
Yes, and
okay.
keep wearing oils around them and offer again when the opportunity arises and it's a totally natural way. Don't be annoying, don't be crazy, don't be, weird, like none of that, right? Just like let it be, let it be. Danny told us this story at the last event. It was so funny because, she got to know they moved to a new place and they've recently gotten to know some of their neighbors. And one of her neighbors was like, I could never, ever, I would never do anything like you're doing. And he was a doctor or something like that. And she just looked at him and said, that's not a problem. I would never want anybody like you on my team. But I
Wow.
think that's another important thing to realize is that we have the ability to say yes or no to who we bring in to our circle and who we want to work with directly. Let's work with people who we really enjoy and who really, love the product, not people who are, you know, down their nose and thinking that they're so much better or whatever. Like, let's not get into that business of trying to convince people who don't want to be convinced. Let's just share with people who are ready and open and willing to feel the goodness that we have to offer. Oh, we can't hear you, Mom. Are you talking?
Oh,
Still can't hear you. Maybe you pop those out of the headphones because maybe your microphone's not working on your headphone. Can you disconnect your headphones? Does that help? Nope. All right. Well, something's up with your microphone. If you click down on audio, there's a little caret right there, and you can look and see which microphone is connected for you. You can also test your speakers and microphone. And hopefully that will give you some
That better?
support. Yes, we
yes.
can hear you. Good job.
Oh, okay. Same as system. That's what it's needing. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
I can't remember if you shared Madison's comments about being alone and taking care of two babies who were sick when she's sick. Was that last week? Did you talk about that?
I don't remember. Did I talk about that? I'll
Uh,
share it again because it was
I think
just
it's worth sharing because we just never can imagine. We can remember how hard it was when we had young babies and the whole family or half the family sick. It's like the most depressing time of a mother's life. Okay.
truth. Yeah, so Madison did she was able to come to the event as well, and so that was really really great to have her there. And also it was really cool because Kirk Jowers used the opportunity with this small group of people to do basically a little product focus group, and he talked about some things and she was able to share some thoughts, which I cannot remember her thoughts at this moment. But I'll share this story that she shared with me. Madison grew up with oils, right? She was 13 when I brought him home. We started using them right away. We loved them. I loved them. I was putting them on, teaching her, and she went through a lot of mental health challenges, both as a teenager and as a young mom. And we used a lot of oils. And supplements in addition to other, counseling and other methods to help her to get through that time. And it was really really a powerful thing. And that is her story to share at some point if she wants to in the future. But the thing that was, has been so fun is as she now has this second baby who's almost a year old, and in the last couple of months, they've had some sickness in their family. Just in the last month, they had some sickness in their family, and her baby was had a high fever, was throwing up, had diarrhea. And when they're little, you're so worried that they're going to dehydrate. And so she called her aunt, who is a nurse, and she found out what to watch for her to make sure that it's 8 hours. Make sure she has a wet diaper every 8 hours. It doesn't have to be a lot of moisture, but she's to be, something has to be coming through. And then to just like basically try to keep the fever down with down to a reasonable burn. Well, she knows because she was raised by me that we like to have a little burn, right? We know the fever's doing something, it's killing the bacteria and stuff. And so we want to keep a little of that burn. You don't want it to get too hot. Anyway, she said, well, I know that peppermint is cooling. And so she used some peppermint on her back. And she said, Mom, I can't believe how quickly that worked for her. And we were able to keep her at a level where she had just like this low grade fever. And then I was able to use other oils to just give her support and tame her on her feet and her tummy, and just helped her to kind of get through it. And she was through it within 24 hours. But she said to me, Mom, what do other moms do who don't know about oils? And I just said, exactly. Exactly. And this is why it's so important to help other moms. And she has been helping other moms. She's helping a mom right now who's experiencing some pretty severe postpartum issues. And she's helping other moms with, just like helping their babies. And she said, I'm not scared to go to their house to help them with their sick kids because of what we have. And I just think it's so powerful, and so supportive for these young moms to feel like, and I know I felt this myself. My youngest was 8 when we were introduced to oils, or maybe 5. I don't know. I think he was 5 actually. So I really felt this so much of like, instead of being in the doctor's office at least once a month with at least one child, um, I stopped going altogether because I was just like, well, let's try some of this. And you got a little sore throat, or you've got, a little sniffle, or you've got a tummy ache or whatever. Let's just do this and see if we can get through it. And stuff worked so quickly to resolve that we actually got fired by our pediatrician, who told us, when I actually did meet him, you haven't been in for so long. You're like a new patient. You have to wait 3 weeks. So we found somebody that could help us right away. But it was really, really a change, a huge change. Like, look at the amount of time and frustration that I got back, like my mental health and my time that I got back as a mom, because I didn't have to go to the doctor every single month with a sick kid and then deal with, trying to manage their meds and all the things. Like, it was amazing. It was a miracle. It's fantastic.
And just trying to lug a baby that is so sick to the doctor, it feels so cruel.
Right?
Yes.
They don't want to get in their car seat, and then you have to take them and it's out in the cold, and yeah, and then they're crying and all the things. You just want to be home snuggling that baby and helping him feel better. But here you are having a doctor look at him. And not saying that that isn't necessary ever. It's just like amazing how much less necessary it became when I, as a mother, felt empowered. And you too, right, Mary? And Camille, I know you raised littles with oils as well.
Yes.
Well, and even taking care of adults, my experience is I don't for a long time we haven't had a sickness. Sometimes it'll go away in a few hours, not days and weeks, like some long lasting ones. But I did read an interesting blurb the other day by a guy, and I can't remember his qualification, but he said, we all think a cold is like death. We think that, oh, we're in it. We got COVID, we got this, we got that. We worry. And he said, really, COVID is, or a cold is nothing more than the body saying, I'm ready for a detox. Let's clean this place out. And I thought, what a great thought, because it's true. And we're setting up here to get Dr. Bon Watts to talk to us about the 90-day reset. This is a great time to talk to our friends who are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yes, absolutely. And along with that, FYI, we are going to beta test our Sassy Habits program. Again, we'll do it a little differently this time. We will do it only with group coaching, but yeah, get everybody in that wants to be a part of that. We will offer the food plan. We're going to use the 4-week win as our habit builder. And Dr. Watts is going to talk to us about the training. And so as they're building their habits, they can be on the month 1 reset for that month, because it's the foundational wellness plus Zendocrine and Mito 2 Max. Now, month 1 has a kit itself. It's called the month 1 reset, and you can put that in your link, but that link is not yet connected to the free glass shaker and the free bottle of peppermint. So instead of putting the month 1 link into your app, if you're using the Empower app, write this down, foundational wellness bundle, plus do the customize and add on the Mito 2 Max. That will give them a $15 savings. And then add the Zendocrine complex. This will set them up for success. It will also get them the shaker bottle and the peppermint for free. So they're ready to do their 2-minute health boost. They're just going to have a couple of extra pills that they're going to be taking in the morning to get them set up for month 1. So while they're building their habits, they're also taking care of that first month. And if they also want to change their food and start losing weight right away, we can support them with that. If they want to wait a little bit, change their food after a couple of weeks of working on habits, or if they want to even start on the food part a whole month later because they've put their habits in place, they can start on that at any time. As soon as they're in the group, they have access to everything, and you can be the one to like help guide them and make sure that they're getting the information they need. And every week we will be doing office hours. I don't know that we have decided for sure what time and day that will be yet. But we want to make sure that that is going to be available to you and to all of your people who want to come into this. So it's a great time to build your team and your group and grow this thing up. Our official launch with that will be sometime mid-February. But build up to it. You can start them on the 4-week win anytime. So just go ahead and get them in. And if you have people that are kind of on the fence, see if you can get them in this week. They will be very supportive in helping you to maximize that $50 bonus. If you're already getting it, you can get that boost with it. And if you have more questions about that, we can talk about that later. I'm not going to cover that here. But this is a great time. Get your enrollments up. One other thing that I want to let you know is that I have recently watched the enhanced compensation plan video, and I posted it in the team chat in WhatsApp. If you want to go and take a look at that, we will be taking a deep dive for those who have a desire to build. You don't need to know anything about the enhanced compensation plan, really, if you're just starting out, because everything is going to just basically line up for you by enrolling. If you are restarting or if you have an existing team, I would love to talk to you about, and we can look directly at your organization and see how the new Power of 3 is going to affect you. And it is good. It's so good. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. It's awesome. So that will be coming up, but I don't have a date on that either. Just reach out to me if you want to know sooner than later. And if you haven't watched the video and you want to talk to me, watch the video first and then reach out to me and we'll talk. Okay.
Thank you, Brenda.
All right. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you so much. And
Arise.
arise.
Hey, Brenda.
Arise.
Right.
Brenda,
Yes.
I just saw that the replay for Dr. O's talk is available.
Oh, great. He was our
It was
what?
in whatever that group is where Dr. Watts is going to speak. Melanie's group?
Oh,
It's
Betty Torres group.
Yeah, yeah, that group.
Okay, awesome. I didn't know he
Discover
spoke in their group.
Essentials.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Tim.
is there a library place for that?
Yes, there is. I'll find the link for it and I'll put it in the replay. These replays are in, they'll be in the Sassy Habits group, and they also are on my YouTube channel. And I have like a whole playlist of Mental Toughness Mondays. So
I think she's asking about Dr. O's, not about your stuff.
I'm telling you where I will put the link to that.
Oh,
In
is that
the
where you're
Sassy Habits YouTube
is that
or
where you're
YouTube.
gonna put it? Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
it'll
you.
be
Thank you.
on this recording, which will be officially in YouTube, but when you go to click on the recording from the Sassy Habits group, you'll open it in YouTube. So okay. Thanks everybody.
Thank you.